afternoon. Thank you for joining me here today. You may have seen published reports in the Buffalo News today that I can confirm that on Monday, 2 Child Protective Service workers were terminated, 2 others were suspended, and we've made changes in the administrative directors of Child Protective Services. I will not go into the details of each of the individual cases. I will note it was based off of a comprehensive review of Child Protective Services that we've been doing for some time. This is just the beginning. We are not done with making changes to Child Protective Services for the betterment of the community. We are working with the staff to do so. Since Monday, Commissioner Carol Dankert has attended 4 meetings with members of Child Protective Services staff. I believe all members of Child Protective Services staff, other than those that are on vacation, have actually spoken to the Commissioner to talk about the changes that are occurring in the department, as well as what we believe we can do in the future, and asking for their help to ensure that Child Protective Services is doing what it needs to do, which is protect the children of this community. So I want the public to understand that what happened this week is not an indictment on the hardworking men and women of Child Protective Services. There are individuals at Child Protective Services who are very experienced, very diligent, who work hard every day to protect children in this community. And I don't want people to assume that because actions were taken earlier this week, that means every Child Protective Service worker is not good, because that is not the case. We have an extremely talented, very experienced group of individuals working as Child Protective Service workers. But we certainly look at every matter, and if we feel that things need to be changed, we will change them. As I stated early on, if I believe that there were problems in an issue, I'm not going to ignore them. We're going to address them, and we're going to address them head on. And after doing a comprehensive review of Child Protective Services, that's what was done earlier this week. I support the decision of Commissioner Dankert. We've had continual communication since, truthfully, last year on issues relating to Child Protective Services. And we continue to have discussions on the matters of and what's going on, not only with Child Protective Services, but with Adult Protective Services, issues in the Medicaid unit, issues associated with special needs children. So that is something that I will continue to do. I'm very pleased the Erie County Legislature passed just recently a reorganization plan to allow 2 new senior level employees for the Department of Social Services so that those individuals can help address these needs as well. We've had questions as to whether or not the Child Protective Service workers that were approved by the Erie County Legislature have been hired. I've been advised by Commissioner Dankert that we expect all those individuals to be hired by Erie County government by the end of this week, and then they can begin a training program going forward so that they can actually address the needs of the community. Of course, it is a multi-week program that's offered by New York State. New York State has offered its assistance to move the training program and speed it up so that we can get those individuals on the street as soon as possible. And I'm looking forward to those individuals playing a role in Child Protective Services to protect the individuals of this community. At this time, I'll entertain any questions.
Can you tell us workers who were fired, what they did or what they didn't?
No, I can't.
Can you tell us why some were fired and some were merely suspended?
I can't talk on the particulars of the matter.
Has their union said anything to you about or anything to their supervisors about?
At this time, I'm not advised of any union grievances being filed, but that is just the knowledge I had of as of earlier today.
Mark, you fired 5 people last year. Was there a union grievance? Was there action to put any of the 5 back on the job?
I cannot answer that question. I don't have an answer as to whether or not there was a union grievance for each individual. Unfortunately, in county government, we hire people on a daily basis, but we sometimes terminate people not on a daily basis. And I'm truthfully not aware of every union grievance that's made, whether it's a union grievance with regards to this existing matter, I don't know of any, or those that were associated with the terminations last year.
Were you, at the same time, of course, the state is doing its own review. Was the decision made in conjunction with the state in any way?
The state is doing its own independent review of all cases. At this point, they've actually looked at approximately 900 cases that are past cases or are presently. They're still continuing. They have approximately 200 other cases that they're looking at right now. They're not complete with their review. We are complete with our review of what we were looking at. I'm not going to state one way or another whether there were recommendations made by New York State towards the actions that were done by Erie County, because to my knowledge, there were none. These actions were taken based on the investigation that Erie County did, not in conjunction with what New York State was doing.
Which leads to my next question. So the state didn't come in and say anything?
No, state did not say that. They haven't actually completed their investigation yet. they're going to be issuing, if they have any recommendations, after they're completed their review. They have not done that, so we don't really have recommendations from them to act upon. This decision was rendered by Erie County, not the state.
So you can't say if these people were involved with the Ian Brooks case?
I cannot speak on the particular matter of the Ian Brooks case. I think we've talked about that repeatedly, that New York State law prohibits me from discussing the matter of the Ian Brooks case. We did confirm a report earlier today, and I'm confirming today that 2 individuals from Child Protective Services were terminated as of Monday, 2 supervisors were suspended, and we've made a change associated with the administrative director. And I can confirm, because I was asked, because this is a personnel change. The administrative director of Child Protective Services, Robert Dietz, has been moved to Children's Services, and the former head of Children's Services, Roberta Farkas-Huezo, who is a former Child Protective Service worker, has been moved and is now the administrative director for Child Protective Services. That was a decision that I made because I wanted to ensure that new, fresh eyes that had experience in the department were put in place to address the needs and to ensure that if things are being done, they're being done properly. If we need to change practices and protocols, that those be done. That was in conjunction with Commissioner Dankert. We talked about that for some time now. And it was felt that after what happened last year and what happened this year, I thought it was appropriate to get new eyes in this. Now, I don't want this to also be an indictment of Mr. Dietz, because Mr. Dietz was not involved in the matter associated with Ian Brooks. He oversees all Child Protective Services. He's not a caseworker. He's not even a line supervisor. But considering there were questions that are being raised about the credibility of Child Protective Services, I felt it was important that we got some new, fresh eyes at the administrative director level. And that's why Roberta Farkas-Huezo has been moved into that position. She has many years of experience in various levels of social service delivery, starting with having been a social service, child protective service worker in Erie County government in the past. Mark, you had a question?
Thank you. Mark, you referenced an article, and you said, I'm here to confirm that people were fired or suspended. But that article also links the cause and effect. This was due to the investigation of Ian Brooks. I mean, that's what we're saying here, right?
Well, the article makes the causation effect. I've not stated that, nor have I confirmed that.
Were the people terminated or suspended caseworkers with the Ian Brooks case?
I cannot confirm or deny that.
Were they caseworkers?
There were 2 employees that were caseworkers. The terminated individual were caseworkers. The suspended people were supervisors. And of course, we made the change with the administrative directors switching them.
So you terminated 2 caseworkers, you're picking up another 6 or 7 by the end of this week. Will you rehire for those 2 positions?
Yes. We're actually in the process as of Monday of looking at and rehiring for those 2 individuals.
That training?
Yes.
You did an investigation last year in the Abbey case, and you read the report and so forth. When you looked at this case, without getting any more specific than you're willing to talk about, did you find the same pattern of problems?
Well, I will state this. I can't talk about the particulars of every case, but every case in itself is different. No case is the same. What New York State Office of Child and Family Services is doing right now is reviewing they completed one review of 900 cases, and they're doing another review of approximately 200 cases. And I know that each one of those cases is different than the next. They're looking at particulars to see if Erie County did everything that we were supposed to do under state law. And I feel very confident that in the vast majority of those cases we did. But we won't have the final report for at least a couple weeks now. It's important to note that actions were taken by the Department of Social Services after the death of Abdi Fattah Muhammad to strengthen the department, and actions have now been taken after the death of Ian Brooks. And they continue to be taken when we try to find it and come up with new ways of serving the public. I actually had a conversation with Commissioner Dankert earlier today in which she wanted to take a child protective service worker from the FAR program, which we were getting out of anyway, and using that position to have that individual be in hospitals in Erie County on a full-time basis, primarily Children's Hospital and Sisters Hospital. Now, we need the approval from the hospitals to do that, but we believe that will help address some of the issues. So when people come in with children with injuries, we can immediately make a determination, was that child injured at the hands of an adult, or was that child injured because of play or falling or something like that. And those are actions that we're going to continue to take to ensure that we have as strong a child protective services division as we possibly can have.
Mark, I don't mean to continue on the neck, but because of your limitations here, I mean, is it possible, or am I to presume it's possible that the actions taken had nothing to do with the Brooks?
You can presume whatever you want, David. I cannot sit here and state, because of the law, as to the analysis of what happened in the Brooks case and what the county did, whether it was appropriate or not. I want to remind everybody that the actions that were taken by the county this week were as a result of an in-depth investigation into the Brooks matter, as well as into other matters in child protective services.
Do you
Mark?
think these actions will have an immediate impact on the CPS?
I believe they've had immediate impact. I've not personally gone over to Child Protective Services myself. I've talked to Commissioner Dankert, who has, and she said that it has actually opened up in some ways a groundswell of communication from the Child Protective Service caseworkers to the supervisors, on not only they feel the pressure of what's happening in this community, but they feel they can advance the job by coming up with new ideas. So I think it has had an impact already, because it, number one, shows that regardless of the reason why someone is terminated, we will terminate someone if you do not do a good job. You will be held accountable if you make mistakes. And it's as simple as that. That message has been sent clear to the people of Erie County government, that if you make a mistake, if you do something wrong, you will be terminated. Now, it's not just in Child Protective Services. There are many other aspects, unfortunately, in Erie County government where we have to terminate individuals. And it runs the gamut from Parks Department to Department of Public Works to Social Services, you name it. If an employee breaks the public's trust or breaks the rules, you will be terminated.